Hey guys, so okay, welcome back to the letter. Let's continue on here. We're on Luke's chapter. It's the final chapter of the game. Let's see what's going on. Here we go. Journal updated. October 29. Things got intense last episode, where we see the ghost is holding Hana hostage, and then we cut to Luke's chapter like, oh my god. Sorry, I must have gone past where we were up to. Here we go. Luke left Hana in Johan's care after the incident at the kitchen. Pissed off at the recent events and a possible divorce looming at the horizon, he dedicated the rest of his day to getting hammered, stopping only after his butler intervened.
Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day. Come on, Mommy, wake up. I want to be in that play. Mommy, wake up. You promised that you'd help me practice my lines today. The auditions are tomorrow, so I have to practice. To the last syllable of recorded time. And all our yesterdays have lighted fools. The way to Dusty. Mummy, are you all...
I check back a scream and wake up in a cold sweat. With my heart pounding in my ears, it takes a while to remember where I am. In the dark and cold of the room, one can't fault me for feeling ill at ease. It isn't as bright as the penthouse, and the renovations did little to change how old it feels. We've been here for less than a week. It'll take a bit more time to adjust. It's hard to feel cozy though when I'm bloody freezing. Nudging the lamp of fabric next to me, I sigh.
It's cold. Don't hog the sheets, Hana.
She always did this, though it hardly bothers me. Growing up, I was lucky to have something to use as a mattress. I'm not the one who grew up accustomed to Egyptian cotton with a thread count of 800. Besides, the warmth that Hana exuded on her own is usually enough to keep me sleeping through the night. The temperature tonight must be something else with how chilly it is right now. I must be considerate. After all, the poor dear is ill, though I loathe to think about what had just transpired.
Don't make me pull those sheets off you. That blanket is large enough to cover an elephant. You'll need to share.
It takes a while.
What was that, honey? Apologies. I'm just in the loo, so if you can give me a moment.
What? There's no sign that they'll be moving where they lie. With care, I go for a knife hidden under the side of my bed. It'd be foolish of me to instigate anything while I'm unarmed, after all. To pull back the covers would be a more difficult affair, because, reaching out to uncover who was underneath, I have to prepare for anything and assume the worst. If I so much as see the nozzle of a gun, it's going to be a murder tonight. I know they say not to bring a knife to a gunfight, but I think I could stick a blade in his liver faster than he can point and aim. I see the rise and fall of the sheets, though it could easily be mistaken as the fault of the breeze. I hear their breathing. A great sense of foreboding comes over me, making me hesitate with my plan. I should just get Hana and myself out of here, not look back and let security handle it. That's what they're there for. Or maybe I should just man up. There's no way I'm risking the chance that inaction will put Hana in danger. But what's the worst that could happen, right? I have no reason to be afraid. There's no boogeyman under my bed, no monster in my closet. If anything, these things should be afraid of me. Right? I grab a fistful of sheets and throw them aside. Oh shit, I can see her eyes. I can see the fucking eyes. Nothing. Are you kidding me? What have we got? What have we got? What have we got? Here it is. Luke woke up in the middle of the night with a scream and in cold sweat, finding comfort in the warm body next to his. He tried to get back to sleep and forget the images plaguing his mind, until Hana called out from the loo. Why is this still new? Anyway. Great. Nothing but a bunch of pillows staring back at me. Must be my imagination. I'd rather not think I'm going mad. It could very well be the stress getting to me, all this drama with Hana. I've been doing well all these years, all things considered. I guess I do have a breaking point. But still, the world goes on even if one cannot, and I must go along with it. I suppose a day off or two tomorrow wouldn't hurt. Rest, aside from a few hours of sleep, would be welcome. More than. But I can't shake off the unease. I dare say that I feel afraid. Irrationally so. That something will come creeping and crawling from under the bed, even as I lay back down and close my eyes. Alright, Sunday. Here we go. The odd dreams don't linger, thankfully. But with the morning comes another disturbance. Oh, that's, Zach. Both too loud and too sharp for my tastes. And I have very fine tastes. When the piercing rings of the doorbell reaches even the bedroom, I'm very much inclined to think that the person who built this place lacks any sense of it. Perhaps the only thing good in this is the ruckus has chased away the needling guilt from last night's commotion, if only temporarily. Still, it's a bloody annoying distraction. I can tell already that it's going to be a long day, and it hasn't even started. Before the racket even lasts another minute, I'm peeling myself off the bed and heading straight for the main door. There will be a murder today if this doesn't let up. How quaint. It seems everything in this blasted universe is intent on getting on my nerves as of late.
Gordon Bennett! Only a Nancy would knock at such an ungodly hour!
I know, right? It's Sunday morning. God. You don't have to be rich to enjoy sleeping on a Sunday morning. In the first place, I shouldn't even be the one doing this. This is why I hired a valet, for fuck's sake.
Where's that damn butler when I need him?
I'll be honest, if only for today. With the mansion this quiet at this hour of the morning, it's easy to believe those little ghost stories might be real. But the only horror here is how long Hannah's patience with me will last after the incident at the party. Neither the deafening silence nor the biting chill spreading across every room in the place. There's no place for fear when another set of problems already burns that fuel. So I wait for another second. When no butler still answers my call, I simply yank the doors open myself, perhaps with more force than needed. And maybe it should be appropriately there, considering the person on the other side and the hour he dared appeared on my doorstep. Even someone with half a brain knows not to disturb anyone this early. Brief confusion quickly gives way to anger, and before the bloody photographer can even get a word in, I'm hurling venom at him. It's less than he deserves, really. Hannah will disapprove, scold me for treating the man with such disrespect if she hears me right now. She seems fond of him, after all, treats him like a friend she's known for years. But she's not here, is he? Isn't she? What she doesn't know.
You! Again! It's bloody 6 in the morning! What the hell is it now?
Listen, sir, I know this is not a good time.
This was when Luke had the shadow over him. How come nothing's different for him that we can tell? Minga! Oh my god.
Oh, it's not a good time! Did you even check the clock before coming here? I bet you didn't!
This is still my home. My rules also apply to this place as much as Hannah's do. As simple as that.
Unlike you, the ones living in this house need to sleep.
It just so happens there's also a person I've never taken a liking to. No need for remorse.
Come back when people are actually awake, or I'll call security on you.
He continues shouting even as I slam the door in his face. Some nonsense about the news lately, though I don't understand most of it. However, with the closed doors muffling the better part of it and with no ears to listen, his tirade doesn't last too long. Eventually he leaves and silence once again fills the room. As it should. In hindsight, maybe I should also call for psychiatric services. He certainly sounds mental, just screaming like that. A suspicious man like him left roaming around the immediate grounds. Nothing good can come of it. But if his presence will indeed bring a problem, a sign of bad things to come, I'll probably know soon enough. Worst comes to worst, Johannes will take care of it, if need be. It's what I'm paying him for. In the meantime, the bigger problem at hand. A hangover. Maybe I'll have some absinthe to temper it. That's a great idea. Dog hairs. Or some wine to help me get back to sleep. It's still early. 1 glass won't hurt. Or 2. Whatever the case, I need to think, wherever that will lead me to. It's nothing. Everything leads to nothing. Except for this pounding headache, as if my mind will burst at any time and leak out of my ears. My vision swims in and out of view. My stomach threatens rebellion, with plans of making me throw up what little food I've taken in with how my mouth feels, like it's filled with cotton. One would think that the fact I'm hungover would make me the grumpiest person in the room. But, as it is, my eyes move over to Hannah, who is stirring sugar in her tea and scowling down at it, all the while as if it has just murdered a baby in front of her. I have half the mind to bemoan my current state and make a fool of myself just to make her smile. And I'm rather good at bemoaning. Not that I would admit that. Why, I'm already adopting the posture of a whiny teenager as I speak, slouched forward with my cheek on the table.
Oh, I'm dying! Oh, God, I'm dying! Hannah! Johannes, call an ambulance, please!
Oh my god, Luke is so fun to play.
Let it be known that I leave all my belongings to Hannah right near Evans. Everything but 30,000 quid. But oh, I see a bright light. I see a farm. Mother dearest, is that you? Little Lucille is on his way home. I'm so sorry, but I must leave you, Hannah. Cover my face. Your eyes dazzle. I die young.
That much I can manage through the hangover. A thing entirely my fault, considering I've twice drunk the night before. Another thing I'll never admit. Really, it's a miracle I haven't accrued alcohol poisoning yet.
Oh, stop being so melodramatic, Luke. Besides, you never lived in a farm. You hate farms. We are not bringing you to the hospital for a hangover. Really. One would think you'd be used to it by now with how stubborn you are about your drinks.
We deserve that.
Dare I ask what the 30,000 quid is for, though?
It pulls a small smile from her for a moment, but the pinched look on her face returns quickly enough.
He lost a bet with Robert and Elise after a night of drinking at the Crawl. 10,000 each. And another 10 to me.
The sneer that makes its way on my face doesn't hold as much heat as it usually does. It's just a bit of friendly ribbing. Though I still wish he wouldn't tattle. Of course, it was my fault for mentioning the money. It wasn't like anyone will notice 30 grand missing from millions, though. That's how much I spend on a normal weekend.
Oh, must you be such a teacher's pet? I told you not to talk about it.
I'm having second thoughts about moving to the penthouse. If this is what you do when I'm not looking.
I've almost forgotten about that little arrangement, too. Shame. Hopefully that's the reason why she's so intent on glaring at the table until its varnish peels off. The alternative would be sobering.
It was that one time. I'm not a child in need of minding or mother hens. As much as I'd love for you to stay, you said you need some time to yourself. Don't let the fact that I lost a bet once make you think I have to be supervised.
It wasn't. I'm just worried about you, Luke. I'd be less so if you actually sat up.
Why are you worried about me? I'm more concerned about what your doctor told you. How did the house call go?
I didn't want to intrude on her privacy when the doctor arrived. A ridiculous sentiment considering I'm still her husband. But it wasn't like I could have done any good being there, what with nursing a hangover and all. However, a part of me feared what would be said. Not to mention, I trust that Hannah would tell me if it's something serious. Of course, it probably is something bad, and I'd be a fool to hope otherwise. I found her having a seizure, for goodness sake. I should have rushed her to the hospital as soon as she woke, but it was her insistence that kept me at bay. A cup of tea finds itself in my hands, an attempt to appease me, no doubt. But I don't bother to drink, let alone look up. If anything, I just press my forehead on the table to hide the childish pout on my lips. Not that this is any better.
It was fine. The physician took some of my blood, and he scheduled me for a few lab tests tomorrow morning. I've already called for a driver and attendant to accompany me, so there's no need for you to worry.
And what? You'll just be leaving me behind then? And I don't think you should be going anywhere alone.
You hate hospitals even more than you hate farms, Luke. And Kylie's coming for your play date tomorrow, remember? Relax. I'm taking Johans with me if it makes you feel better.
Herr Dr. Hobbs asked that I keep her under observation for the time being. Naturally, I'll be reporting my findings at the hospital.
Sitting up, I run a finger over the rim of my teacup and mull it over. I do hate the bloody place. I thought hiring Johans would have been enough for me to avoid the place. Apparently not. Bloody doctors and bloody sick people. I don't want to catch anything contagious. I can't even tell crying people to shut up if they get too annoying, respecting their grief my ass. Save for a life and death situation, I'd rather avoid the mass graveyard that hid beneath the sterile air and white tiles.
I guess you two can go without me. But I can't believe how naturally you two conspire behind my back. Don't expect my help if those bloody doctors bleed you two dry. Vampires, every single one of them. Not as bad as lawyers and politicians, but close enough. You do know Kylie will be upset when she finds out you're not here tomorrow. Again.
She'll be happy enough to spend time with her fairy godfather, I'm sure. You're a good role model for her, despite your whining.
No matter how many times Hannah claims that whining is unbecoming of me, I never listen. It's not like anyone that matters is here to judge. Well, it's not like anyone else actually matters. I'll whine if I bloody well want to, and I'll be no lesser because of it. Of course, I will not tolerate another person's whining. Except perhaps for Hannah, but she hardly ever does that. Even right now I can see as a look of pain passes on her face and her hand goes to her stomach. Yet she keeps quiet, not bringing it up or complaining. What should I do? That's melodramatic. It's asked if she's alright.
Are you alright? Should we be concerned? Maybe we should bring you to the hospital now.
Come on, Luke, it's about time we repair our relationship with Hannah.
I just feel a little queasy, that's all. A bit more tea in me, maybe some more sleep, and I'll be right as rain.
I spent a lot of time around people who lie for a living, and I can't help but feel that there's more to it than just that. Maybe it is just as she says, and I'm overthinking it. But I trust Hannah will fess up before things can get any worse. She's never really lied to me before. Nothing big, at least.
If you're sure, I'm just worried. You'll tell me if anything is wrong, right? You do know you can still trust me. That I do still care about you?
I know that. I'm just going to be moving out soon. Even if it is for a short while, you won't always be there for me.
It's sad.
Did you finish packing before you... I understand if you haven't, and I won't blame you if you've changed your mind after what happened. You can stay until you feel better.
I'm still moving. It isn't like you can't visit to check up on me. Although that does somewhat defeat the point. Luke, I'm a big girl. I'm going to get a checkup tomorrow, take whatever pills they tell me to get, and get over it. You really don't need to worry. I'm fine.
Oh, I do so hate those words. Yeah, I'm fine, yeah, totally. I hide my scowl by taking a sip of the tea, fighting off the urge to hurl the cup at the wall. I'm fine, she says. A lie. Apparently the sour disposition I have, one not entirely born from my hangover, is still obvious. Without saying a word, Hannah puts her hand on mine and squeezes it tight. Her hands are cold and clammy, her grip is weak. I can see the small tremors that run along her shoulders and the paleness of her cheeks. She has yet to recover from what happened to her. She's not fine. And I'm not either.
Fine. I don't need to like it, but fine.
I don't think either of us really like it. But I do think it is for the best.
Perhaps we should bring you back to bed. The sooner you are off your feet, the better.
Is that some sort of roundabout way of saying that you want to sweep me off my feet and take me to bed? This isn't our honeymoon. I need rest, mister.
I'm aware that this is the farthest thing from our honeymoon. This isn't how things are supposed to be. Hannah isn't supposed to leave. I'm not supposed to let her. And if she ever did leave, it's supposed to be on my terms. Everything is going wrong. But I respect her enough to let her have her space, as she so puts it. If divorce is brought up, however, well, that's another matter entirely.
Really now, you shouldn't have gotten up in the first place. Breakfast in bed exists for a reason. Come on then, back to bed you go.
Are you going to carry me to bed then?
You're far too heavy for that. Johans could carry you, if you'd like.
Wow.
Can you blame me if I enjoy food too much? I can walk, thank you very much.
I don't say a word as she clutches my arm to steady herself. There's no protest as she uses me as a crutch while going up the stairs. Here we go. Jeez, what an indirect way to call her fat, Luke. Come on. Terrible. Come Sunday morning, Luke woke up with a huge hangover to Hannah's utter displeasure. Regardless, she informed him of her plans to see a doctor back at the city, something her husband immediately worried about, which she allayed with gentle reassurances. But that's as far as I want to go. Judging by the light blush on Hannah's face, she's gotten self-conscious about it too.
Johans, look after her, and you stay in bed. I just need to go out.
I'll have plenty of time to be lonely in the mansion by myself when Hannah moves out. For now, I can go and stretch my legs. Fresh air, all that. Breathe. Grey skies loom over in the horizon, though the sun fights for every precious minute it gets to stay. It'll rain again soon, with the wind bringing along the gloomy clouds normal next to Locksbourne. Until then, it doesn't hurt to be out here with fresh air and sunshine. I walk to the gardens, what little of it there is at the moment anyway, and kneel by the daffodils. Those were the first to be brought here and planted on my request. If nothing else, they brought in a sense of peace. They were Mother's favourites. Closing my eyes, I lift my chin up to welcome the light that shines upon me. And for a minute, I can imagine myself as one of the flowers, peaceful, blooming and all too happy to stand in its warmth. Life would be much easier if we were all like flowers, wouldn't it? But I didn't step out here to get all philosophical. I have problems much more practical than figuring out the meaning of life after all. Too many things have gone on these past few days. And I want to forget about them, even for just a moment.
It's almost All Saints, isn't it? To think I've almost forgotten.
November 1, yeah. I speak the words absent-mindedly. The date means nothing to me, as I neither worship the religion nor have any graves to visit. After all, Mother was never given a proper burial. But it's a date, as good as any, for me to grieve. Otherwise I would have done so every single day, crippling myself and shutting everyone else out. I can remember how the flames licked at her flesh, and how it consumed her body, until there was nothing left but ash. I stood there watching with the operator and the social service worker, though I could have been alone for all I cared. I felt alone. It was the most that could be done. No one would attend the funeral of a dead prostitute, let alone pay for it. All that is left of her, proof that she lived, is her name written on the ledge of Locksbourne Cemetery, a lighter, and me. Pulling out the lighter from my jacket, I can't help stop myself from flicking it open to stare at the flame and run my thumb over her name, Eleanor. Aw, he really loved his mum. We all do, don't we? Most of us, anyway. All in all, it isn't much, but it's something. And it'll be wrong of me not to make something of myself, when she would have given everything to make sure I can become anything I want to be.
Feels like I'm stuck in a nightmare right now. What I would give to have you here by my side, Mother dear. To see you smiling at me. Alive and as beautiful as ever. I'm afraid I'm starting to forget what your face looks like. I've already forgotten the shade of your hair.
Eleanor Chandler was a wonderful woman, though not everyone would have agreed. Not everyone had seen her past her occupation, past her vices and her illness. All they saw was a poor woman who sold her body to make ends meet, and had a bastard son because of it. They didn't see the mother who worked hard to put food on the table for me, the woman who gave and gave and gave to me while expecting nothing in return. She taught me the merits of hard work, but though I loved her so, I worked hard for myself. I would not be so foolish, so selfless towards people who would never give back. I learned that from the father who plucked me out of an orphanage for his own selfish gain. I pocket the lighter before I can feel the urge to actually set anything ablaze. Considering my close proximity to the flowers, they would most likely be the victim of arson. Just the thought itself is blasphemous. Nevertheless, that doesn't save them from being picked. Just enough to make a bouquet of things in honor of Eleanor.
Would you be proud of me if you saw me now, Mother? Maybe.
She would always say yes.
You're always so forgiving. No matter what trouble I got into. More than I deserved. Especially now.
It's been a while since I've talked to my mother like this. I've been thinking of both my dear parents far too much as of late when I shouldn't. I have a future to look forward to and the present to take care of. These memories of the past give me nothing but grief. The life of Lucille Mitchell Chandler should be nothing but a footnote in Luke Wright's non-existent autobiography. It's because of Hannah, isn't it? I worry that she's all too much like Mother that it scares me, and the thought that I'm turning into my father is even more so. But even if history is so set to repeat itself, I'm not a child anymore. Content to sit aside, unable to do anything to help, and too inexperienced to think that the worst wouldn't happen. I have money to buy the best medicines and doctors if need be. She'll get better. She has to. And once we get over this little bump in the road, I can stop worrying. All will be right with the world. Unfortunately, my time alone is cut short, though.
I think those flowers look beautiful, my lord. The parlor, the room where the lady stays for her tea. It could certainly use some.
The voice is not familiar, though I'm not really one to remember such things. Oh, that necklace. It looks familiar. Going with her attire, I would say that she's one of the housekeepers. Strange, considering I've sent all of the staff but Johann's away. And her face, as pretty as it is unfamiliar to me. It would be a lie if I said that it didn't set me on edge. Most would say that I cared little for my employees. That isn't entirely true. However, I'd like to think that I know the people who work for me, especially those who would run my home, even if it's just a face and a name. Besides, I would remember a beauty such as her. So who is this? If she's someone impersonating a household staff to get in, she's doing a bad job of it.
Didn't you get the memo? Are you new? Today is a day off. You aren't supposed to be here.
I expect poor excuses and apologies the likes of her often give, but she merely smiles.
Oh, no. I've been a servant here since you first came.
And I see no signs of lying nor hear it in her words. Yet they can't be true. But I find that I can feel like I can relax. She has that sort of smile that makes one's kindness shine through without words or action. It reaches her eyes, filling them with a strange sort of mirth, as if she's just thought of something really funny. Perhaps, had it been any other person, I would have interpreted it as a deceitful grin. But the curl of her lips and the shine of her eyes are too soft to hold any malice. She takes my silence as a sign that she can continue. It's not like I feel any urgency to stop her. I'm not really in the mood for company, but I'm not adverse to it at the moment either. Entertaining a beauty like her, even for a little while, wouldn't hurt. It helps that she proves easy to listen to, despite how oddly she speaks.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I shouldn't have bothered you. Look at me, talking to the master of the house without even asking for permission. What will the others think? If you'll excuse me, I'll just...
I haven't driven you away yet, have I? And it's your day off. I don't see why we can't chat a bit.
Of course. If that is what you wish. As long as it does not get you into trouble with the lady. To even take time for someone as lowly as me. No wonder that everyone under the mansion's employ is so fond of you. Though it should have no longer been a surprise to me. You have always been such a kind and loving lord.
Exactly, the language she uses, it's ancient. I have to stop myself from calling her out on her shite. It's almost as if she's talking about an entirely different man. No matter how big my ego gets, I know for a fact that I'm hardly in the running for Best Boss of the Year award. The only reason that most of my staff stay is because of the decent compensation. I'm not cheap. but if she wants to lay it on thick, I'll allow it. Who wouldn't want a beautiful woman complimenting them?
I'm sure she'll be fine with this. We are just talking after all. Unless you had other things on your mind when you approached me.
The words leave my mouth before I even realize what I've said. I panic a bit, though I can get away with picking up women out in the city, sometimes even out of the county. I've always taken care not to do so in my own home or in my businesses. Not when it'll be so easy for Hana to find out about my infidelity through these channels. Though, seriously, I still don't see what the big deal about it is. I just have an itch I need to scratch.
I know it must be amusing to see a girl flustered for a man of your stature. But please don't say such things, my lord. I saw you alone and simply thought you could use some company.
Thankfully, and I do count my lucky stars, it seems the woman takes it as a joke rather than the casual pass it was intended to be.
So how are you liking your work around the mansion? The place is wonderful, but I imagine the upkeep is ungodly with all the rooms and whatnot. I don't even want to think about how many people are on the staff roster.
Work is work, my lord. It is a way of living. A purpose from day to day. It is certainly far better than doing nothing or having no food to eat. The house itself is also beautiful. There's no lack of things to look at. I'm sure you've seen those books in the study. I can't read any of them yet, but if given the chance, I'm sorry. I shouldn't be thinking of those things, especially when the rains, they might bring more work to us soon. It will definitely be much more difficult when it returns. Idling about is the least I should be doing.
I guess you can put it that way if you want to be brutally honest about the whole thing. And the rain shouldn't be a problem. Hopefully. Maybe.
If a little dreary, at least she doesn't beat around the bush. I like the honesty. Many would bemoan their status as a household staff, as a janitor or other menial role, and believe themselves to be for greater things. I don't begrudge the idea that one can always get better. But one shouldn't be so discontent with what they have either.
The rain is something I simply must get accustomed to, if I am to live here. I've not spent long in this place after all.
What's her problem with rain? This is clearly the normal version of the ghost. Or, you know, I'm 80% sure.
But I have been told that it has rained in this nation since a mother's time, and their mother's time. There is little we can do about it. I am just glad to have time in the sun, even for a short while.
Isn't that the truth? Really, these sunny days have been welcome, though I can't imagine they'll last for long. Sometimes I just want to pack my things and leave for somewhere like, say, the Bahamas or whatnot. Get some sun and surf.
But certainly, you will return for us, won't you? This is your home, after all.
And remember when Rebecca was at the library looking through the old owners of the house, she said it had an uncanny resemblance, and we assumed it was Luke.
Your people, they won't be pleased if the master of the house leaves.
She must assume that Luke is, like, the Lord returning. I don't know.
Of course, I can't very well leave my businesses hanging here, can I? I just wish I could actually trust people enough to go on vacation without taking work with me. I've also got to get back here if I ever want proper meals. A proper pudding is something you'll never find out there.
The woman nods in understanding, and I must say that she makes for a fine listening ear. Though what she says next gives me pause, whether she meant for me to hear it or not.
And good tea. From what the cook has been telling me, I've yet learned how to prepare one. Perhaps once I do, it would endear the lady of the house to me. I never expected her to be so unkind after what she did for me.
What?
Though it's only if one catches her in a foul mood. I wish I knew how to avoid her anger.
I highly doubt she means Hana. That woman rarely has a mean bone in her body. And when she actually is nasty towards someone else, it's usually deserving enough. Much like with that Rochelle woman. Hell, she even tolerates Harvey for me, even if she did admit she doesn't quite like the man. She must mean the head housemaid, right? I have to laugh at that. Not that I have room to speak. I don't deal with her myself anymore, though even Johans has a few choice words about the head hag. She's just been under the right employee when she was also the head housemaid for my father. And if anyone's not going to get along with someone, it'd be that crotchety old woman. I don't even remember her name. But the woman had been this strict, upstart bitch who took one look at me, her master's bastard son, and turned her nose up, as if she were better by mere consequence of birth. That, and she absolutely loathed my very existence. Perhaps the rumors had been true. She had a miscarriage while bearing another one of dearest father's children, and she saw me as an obstacle to her being granted a better standing in life. I remember that much at least. The only reason I haven't sacked her yet is because of her competence. Also because working under my household makes her absolutely miserable. Her resignation made impossible by her pride.
Nobody really gets along with that woman. I think everyone just tolerates her because of how old she is. I mean, not to be rude or awful or anything, but she's at the age where she'll be pushing daisies soon enough.
Is she? Really, my lord? I'm sure the lady is much younger than that.
I think the thought of tormenting the young and beautiful gives her reason to live.
It does seem that way. Though I feel sorry for her. One's life should not be wasted away on hatred and anger. It is never good for the heart or the head to always carry ill thoughts. But at the least, you are here for us. We are certainly so lucky to have a lord like you. The lady even more so. The gods smile down on her. Though, if I may be honest, she is to be envied.
Even when I have my suspicions about her, she's just so easy to talk with that I've forgotten. I don't know who she is, and if she's actually one of the household staff. That would explain why she would so easily give obviously wrong statements about my character. Though, if she is here for malicious reasons, she would have done more than do small talk with me by now, wouldn't she? I have so many questions. Perhaps curiosity will kill this cat.
It's strange that I've never seen you before. What's your name?
You do not remember?
I don't believe you've mentioned it, or am I missing something?
You still cannot comprehend it. Can you, my lord?
Her answer chips away at the good mood I'm starting to get into. I have every right to be angry at the cryptic response. She threatens insubordination with her very presence alone. But instead of hurling vitriol at the woman, I take a deep breath. I don't want my mood ruined further than it already is. Not right now, when I can let my temper take its course another time.
Whatever your name is, and no matter how long you've been working for us, that does not change the fact that you shouldn't be here. I'll call you a cab to bring you to the city if you want.
Shouldn't I? What if I do not wish to leave? I merely desire to stay by your side and serve. Is that such a deplorable thing?
I'm starting to see why you got killed all those years ago now, I think. Her gaze sends chills down my spine. It's too easy to see the devotion, the obsession in her eyes. Not the good sort either, as her scrutiny makes me feel like I'm being laid bare. The offness of her presence is all the more palpable with the feeling of bugs crawling on my skin, and the silence that makes it seem as if the world has stopped. Any friendly atmosphere we might have had going for us is completely forgotten. Danger. A small part in the back of my mind screams, the part that has kept me alive all these years. And in hindsight, I'd be stupid not to take heed of it. But I've grown arrogant, complacent, and content to hide behind wealth and power.
Yes, it's a deplorable thing, as you said, because I'd like to be alone now. Thank you very much. If you didn't want the day off, you should have reported to your superior. This is utterly unprofessional of you, and I shall be issuing complaints. In fact, if you know it's good for you, you should start looking for another employer.
It's at my threat that the smile on her face turns tight.
I see. It escapes you still. This is unfortunate.
I'm really uncomfortable all of a sudden.
How despairing that this misery must go on. But maybe, if you come with me, I can help you. I can...
When she reaches out for me, I recoil with a hiss.
How dare you lay your filthy hands on me without my permission? I am not going anywhere with you. Now step back and walk away before I have you forcibly removed.
As if a switch had been flipped, the woman's expression turns horrific, although that may very well be the understatement of the century.